He wasn't supposed to be there. He was just the hired pianist, a single dad trying to afford his daughter's school trip. But the moment his fingers touched the keys and the first trembling notes filled the grand ballroom, the powerful CEO standing across the room dropped her champagne glass. Because that melody, that was the song her first love wrote for her 20 years ago. And the man playing it, the quiet single father no one noticed, was the last person on earth she expected to hear it from. Stay with me, because by the end of this story, you'll understand why that song changed both their lives forever. Daniel Hart never imagined he would perform at events like this. The ballroom glittered in gold and crystal. Christmas lights wrapped around towering columns, and a 12-foot tree sparkled near the entrance. Executives in tailored suits and women in elegant gowns laughed beneath chandeliers that cost more than Daniel's entire apartment. He adjusted his cuffs, feeling slightly out of place in his simple gray shirt. But this wasn't about pride. It was about Lily. His 7-year-old daughter had pressed her tiny hands against his cheeks that morning and whispered, Daddy, promise you'll come to my recital next week?" He had, "I'll be there, always." The extra money from this corporate holiday gala would cover her dance costume, and maybe even something small for Christmas. So Daniel sat at the glossy black grand piano, exhaled slowly, and began to play. He didn't choose the melody randomly. It was the only song he had left of his past. A soft, aching tune flowed through the ballroom, delicate, intimate, almost fragile. It wasn't flashy, it wasn't loud, it was a confession written in notes. Across the room, CEO Amelia Laurent was mid-conversation when she heard it. Her body went rigid. The glass slipped from her fingers and shattered across marble floors. Because that melody, that impossible melody, was called Evelyn's Promise, and only one person in the world had ever written it for her, 20 years ago, when she was young, before the billion-dollar empire. Before the power suits, before the heartbreak, back when she was just a girl in love with a struggling musician named Daniel Hart. Her breath caught in her throat. It couldn't be. She slowly turned. There he was, older, broader shoulders, faint lines around his eyes. But it was him, Daniel. So, quote, was him, Daniel. The man who disappeared from her life the night before she left for Paris to chase her business dreams. The man who never showed up at the train station. The man who broke her heart without explanation. The music ended. The room erupted in applause. But Amelia wasn't clapping. She was staring. She was staring. And Daniel finally looked up. Their eyes met. And 20 years of silence shattered without a single word. The gala continued, but neither of them heard a single speech. Amelia stood frozen near the piano as guests whispered around her. Daniel rose slowly. Amelia, her name sounded different in his voice, softer than she remembered. "You left?" she said, her tone controlled but trembling underneath. He swallowed. "I didn't." She laughed bitterly. "You didn't come." "I was there," he said quietly. "I waited until the last call." Her heart skipped. "Oh, that's not true." Daniel reached into his wallet and pulled out something worn and folded, a train ticket dated 20 years ago. Her knees nearly gave out. "I was there," he repeated, "but your father met me before I reached the platform." Her face drained of color. "He told me," Daniel continued, voice steady but pained, "that if I truly loved you, I would let you go. He said I would only hold you back, that you had a future bigger than anything I could offer." Amelia's world tilted. Her father had always believed love was a distraction, weakness. "All the thought you chose your career over me," she whispered. Daniel shook his head. "Well, I thought I was choosing you." Silence hung heavy between them. "Why didn't you tell me?" she asked. "I tried, but when I came back the next day, you were gone." She felt the ache of years collapsing inward. "And you?" he asked gently. "You never tried to find me?" Her eyes shimmered. "I did." "But you had moved. No forwarding address. I assumed you'd moved on." He gave a small, sad smile. "Life moved me." He told her about Lily, about his wife who had passed away 3 years ago, about playing small gigs to survive. Amelia felt something crack open inside her, not just old love but regret. She had built towers of glass and steel, but somehow she had lost the only thing that ever made her feel grounded. "I'll play it again," she said softly. Daniel hesitated. "Oh, for me." He sat back down. The melody filled the room once more, but this time Amelia walked closer, not as a CEO, not as a powerful woman commanding a company, but as the girl who once believed in love without fear. When the final note faded, the room was silent, And then something unexpected happened. Amelia began to clap. I gave, not politely, but with tears in her eyes. This, she said to the stunned audience, is the most honest performance this company has ever witnessed. She turned back to Daniel. Would you consider composing for us? Our foundation funds music programs for single parents and children. Daniel blinked surprised. For Lily, Amelia added softly. He looked at her carefully. Is this business? He asked. She shook her head. It's a second chance, not to rewrite the past, but to write something new. Love doesn't always fail. Sometimes it's interrupted. Sometimes it's misunderstood. Sometimes pride and fear speak louder than truth. But when life gives you the courage to listen again, the right melody can bring you home. Daniel didn't just play a song that night. He reminded an entire room and one powerful woman. That success means nothing if your heart is silent. Quote. And as Amelia watched him walk toward the exit, Lily's recital invitation tucked carefully in his pocket, she realized something she hadn't felt in decades: hope. Because sometimes the song you thought was over is only waiting for its final verse.